Hey Splinter fam, it's time for me to make another video on bots and helpers within Splinterlands. Yes, it is Zard versus the bots and helpers within Splinterlands again. Screw these Decepticons. I've only made a few videos on bots and better helpers within Splinterlands, but hopefully this will be my last, as we got some news that the TOS changes within Splinterlands is going to happen next week. Thank you God, the changes are happening, thank you! But today's video isn't about the news, as the community has kind of had like a negative response to the helpers recently, as Xbot has turned on the helpers again, and some people have done some weird things in response to it. So I want to explain to you guys how, in my mind, the bot users have basically turned into bad helper users. So let's get into the video. But before that, like the video if you don't like bots and helpers, which I'm pretty sure none of us do, and comment below what you think is going to happen once the TOS changes happen. Oh, don't forget to sub, as all our non-subscribers will lose all their games against the battle helpers before the TOS changes happen. Maybe. So let's get into the video. Cue the intro. So let me explain to you how I feel like the bots have basically turned into battle helper users, because in my mind all they've done is just evolved from using bots to battle helpers. In reality, the mindset of bot users are basically, they want to gain rewards without having to do much, and they want it to be super easy for them. And considering bots have been banned, the only possible idea they can keep doing that is to basically use battle helpers. Even though it's not automated, it's going to be the easiest route for them to be able to still gain rewards without having to learn the game much, be good at the game, and it's just a simple thing for them to do. And considering bots got banned in Modern League, and Modern League is still kind of like the best pool of rewards to get, the only way they can really like play the game without, you know, being good, is to be able to use battle helpers, considering it all battle helpers do is give you 5 teams to choose from, and it's a lot easier to pick between 5 teams than picking between a bunch of cards. And in my mind it's kind of cheating, and we all know it's cheating in reality. When it comes to games, it comes down to skill and using your mind, but these people don't want to do that. Because you've got to realise, play to earn is all about gains. And in reality, you want to gain as much as you can and as easy as you can. So battle helpers is the easiest way for these users to be able to do that. And these users are still, they're not going to change. They're still going to have the same mindset from when they used to have bots. That's going to change literally, they're going to change the tool they use to a different tool. That's just one type of mindset of like a bot. But another one is going to be the person that doesn't have the time to play the game. Because in reality, trying to use all like 25 or 50 energy takes up a lot of time in your day. And some people may be busy and have things to do, and they want to gain as much rewards and like gains as they can from their investment, which does make sense. But in my mind, it kind of like steps on the people that do put the time in and put the time in to be good. And in my mind, if you don't have the time to play the game, you shouldn't be able to gain the same rewards as someone that does. If you haven't got the time to gain the same rewards as someone that does put the time in, you shouldn't be able to have access to tools that allows you to do that. And on top of it, these tools allow you to be better than you actually are, considering the average player or the new player can suddenly compete with the top players, which kind of like isn't fair on the top players that put the time in to get good, learn strategies, and generally it comes down to time to reward, and these bots and battle helpers basically skip that whole thing. Think about when new metas happen and new cards come out. The top players constantly have to do trial and error, trying out these cards in different teams and in different positions and stuff like that, to learn if they're good, when they're bad, and play them in so many different rule types to learn when they're going to be optimal. And all these people that use the helpers, they don't care about that. They really don't mind that they're cheating the system. They really don't mind that they're kind of like crapping on the top players that put in the time in. And it's still not fair. The last kind of mindset of it, like a bot slash battle helper user, is the investor. The investor that puts in loads of money and capital into cards, and they want to get as much reward for that, and kind of get as much return on investment as they can, and they don't really mind how they do that. So they're going to obviously use all the easy methods they can. And when it comes to like the scholarship system, that involves human interaction and having to deal with people. So if they don't have to do that and just have to like set up a bot or battle helper, that's going to be the easiest thing for them to do. And it kind of makes sense from like someone looking at the investor mindset. But in my mind, this is play to earn. You play to earn. You don't extract to earn. And in my mind, this is kind of like the smallest type of mindset when it comes to Splinterlands, when it comes to botters and battle helpers, because the other two are definitely going to be a lot more prevalent. And the thing is, we've got to remember, as it is play to earn, not everyone's going to be a gamer. Some people are definitely going to be investors, and we can't kind of like overlook them, because if it weren't for investors, there won't be much capital for development. And as gamers, we want as much development as we can in our game. So we do need to like kind of like look after the investors to an extent, but we also got to make sure that investors understand that this is a game, and we kind of can't cheat the system. If you think about it, the reason it's so easy for the people that use to bot to change into people that use battle helpers is the sheer fact of they're basically the same thing. Whereas when you use to bot, you have to give up a percentage of your earnings, but with the battle helper, you pay a fee every time you use it. So in reality, you're still paying to use these tools. So there's not much difference between the two of them. All they've done is replace a percentage to a fee, and basically it's the same thing. Considering we have rewards for being higher up in the leaderboard, it kind of makes sense for someone that's chasing it to use a battle helper and pay that little fee to chase the higher leaderboard position, because at the end of the day, yeah, it's going to be competitive, and in your mind, if there's a little way for you to get that little bit of an edge, you're going to use it. So once these battle helpers get taken out, it's going to be so much better for leaderboard, just playing in general, because a lot of people don't like losing games here because they're constantly in like the mindset of, did I lose because I was bad, or did I lose because someone used a battle helper? The thing with battle helpers is the damage that they've done is already affected our community, considering everyone was so happy once bots got banned out of Modern. Everyone was so happy, they were saying GG to people in Tavern, sending in fights in Tavern and everything else. But now while we're in Tavern, everyone is complaining about the battle helpers, because everyone's going, you used the battle helper. Oh, I only lost this game because everyone was using the battle helper. And the thing is, because of that uncertainty, it's kind of breeding in a little bit of toxicness in the Tavern when everyone was so happy. It was like everyone was drunk on playing the game. And the thing is, I asked around, I've asked within Tavern, I've asked during my Splinterlands TV stream, and I've asked them if did they find that this season was a lot harder, and everyone kind of said yes. And the thing is, we could kind of chalk it up to one single thing, and that was that Xbot turned on their battle helpers again. And the thing is, it generally did affect the community, and now F1 has gone back to being toxic. F1 was so happy for a long time, and now F1's gone back to their original toxic self. And the thing is, it's understandable, because F1 just wants to be able to play their game, and if they lose the game, they could chalk it up to them just playing a bad team, them having a bad day. But now it's like, oh, I only lost because people use the battle helper, and that needs to go away. And thank God the TOS changes is coming, but the thing is, it's going to take a long time for people to readjust to playing the game again. Because if you remember when bots got banned out of Modern, everyone kind of had to learn to play the game again. Like, I'll admit, I had to learn to play the game again, because in my mind, I used the bot for a while because bots were meta, and there was no point me playing a game if I was just going up against bots the whole time. And now, F1's kind of like, I'm not sure if you guys have seen the recent videos from some of the creators on YouTube, but some people are now doing alternate things because they're tired of like losing games to battle helpers. And everyone can really feel the difference now that Xbot has turned on their services again. I know I kind of brushed on the subject, but I'm not sure if you lot have seen some of the videos from some of the content creators recently, but Arthur Sounds made a video talking about how he's going to have to readjust his playing style and how he's playing the game like currently until the battle helpers are stopped, because he's tired of losing games. And I think you guys should definitely go watch it, because it kind of comes across from someone that loves the game but is tired of how they've been treated. And we got another video, which is Steve's video, and Steve basically goes into detail on how to use the battle helper, because he's never used one before and he wanted to see what it was like. And he realized that when he was using it, other people he was playing against was using it, because one of the games he saw that the person's team, which was in one of the 5 teams, they picked that team. And another game he had a mirror match because he decided to use it for a battle, and the person used the same team, which kind of just shows you how it's definitely affecting the community, and it's affecting the content creators as well. Because if we're not playing the game ourselves, how are we going to make content on the game? Like, I've not adjusted my playing style yet, but it's definitely made me consider like what I should do in the future. But the thing is, we were lucky enough in the most recent town hall getting news that they're going to bring out the TOS changes, because all we can hope now is that the services will respect the TOS changes, because they did say that, but only time will tell. And the thing is, you can't blame these content creators on like readjusting the way how they're playing, with After Sound now going to bot in wild, and Steve thinking about using a battle helper going forward, because in reality it's a can't beat them, join them mentality. And the only reason I know that is because I did that. I did that during the bot era, and I started using Archmage constantly, and I stopped playing the game for about 4 months. And in reality, we can't do that. We can't allow these services to win. We need the players to dominate and the services to go away. And let's just hope, we can literally just hope that the TOS changes does that for us. The last subject I want to bring up when it comes to how battle helpers affected the community of Splinterlands is, can we actually stop these services? Is it actually possible? And in reality, not really, without the services actually agreeing to it. We can hope the services kind of respect the TOS changes and kind of like divert and go into the areas that it's actually allowed. But in reality, we're not going to stop the private ones. And with the private ones, people are still going to be using it. But as a mass, the battle helpers should get stopped, but only time will tell. The real big issue with the battle helpers is they're kind of impossible to detect. The only way you can really tell yet is if someone took so long to enter their teams, but someone could really just be thinking about the best strategy to put forward. Because we saw it during Steve's video when he was exploring on how to use the battle helpers. It takes ages to actually wait for the team suggestors to come in, and then for you to actually put all the monsters in and stuff like that. But it's not a foolproof plan on trying to detect it. And you don't want to shorten the amount of time we have to select a team, because we do want to play the best team possible to get the win. And Splinterlands has so many different combinations and strategies that we do need quite a bit of time to be able to put a team together. The worst part is, Silence already told us that the battle helpers don't necessarily need the API to be useful or successful, and in reality they can just change into a big Excel sheet, and I don't really know how to explain it because all he said was that. But if you think about how an Excel sheet works, you could possibly just type in the rule types that you've got, and then it can just flood out a bunch of teams for you, and then you can work out what monsters you have and don't have, and then just subtract the monsters that you don't have and put in monsters that you do. And in my mind, that's still battle helpers, and once it gets to that form, it's going to be literally impossible to detect. It may take ages for someone to put a team together, and then that just makes it a lot longer for you to get into your games, and a lot longer for you to use all your energy. So in reality, there's no real way to really like stop battle helpers as a whole, especially the private ones. The thing is, it's all well and good, yeah, like targeting our frustration towards the public ones like Xbot, the B1 that I can never pronounce properly, and legendary.io. But the thing is, these guys are the only ones yet that we can really go to them. Guys, do you mind not doing this? Do you mind respecting the TOS? But it does not stop anyone from making their own type of battle helper and then just using it privately. Because anyone that builds their own one and uses it privately, they're going to be impossible to detect. And all we can hope is someone don't put out a blueprint for people to make their own. Because if a blueprint comes out and people start making their own, Splinterlands is really going to be an impossible game to play for a gamer. Personally, for me, the only way we can really stop these battle helper services is diverting them to different areas of the game. So currently we have bots being allowed in wild, and with the proposal that was passed, battle helpers are allowed to be used in wild. So we can only hope that these services respect the TOS changes and just allow their services to only work in wild. Because then, you see, all the types of mindsets that I said earlier about people that use bots and battle helpers, they can use all their investment and all their time that they can't use to play the game and just focus it all in wild, which is still kind of unfair for all the people that like playing the wild format, because all they're going to go up against is like these cheating systems. And in reality, modern's going to be the only playable part of the game. But we can really just hope here that once Battle 2.0 comes out, that it makes the game a bit more complicated, so then all these services don't really have like an advantage over everyone else, and that more human thinking will be dominant basically, and the game's not going to be such an easy like 1 + 1 = 2. And the thing is, the TOS changes ain't going to be like the holy grail to save like the game from being abused by these services. Because if the punishment isn't strict enough, people will still do it. And Weird kind of like teased us what the punishment will be, and it will be kind of similar to what happened with the modern, where if you do use these services, you will be blocked from being able to like use that area of the game. So if you use these services in modern, you'll be blocked from modern. If you use it in tournaments, you'll be blocked in tournaments. And the same thing for balls. But in my mind, that's not the strictest punishment, and it's not going to definitely deter people from using it, because all that will happen is if someone does get caught, they're just going to move their assets from one account to another account. Even though that's a lot of hassle, and it may take some time for them to unstake all their SPS. And we can definitely use the blockchain to check if someone does do that. But it's a lot of hassle, it's a lot of stress. And it's definitely, the TOS change is definitely more like a plaster to the wound than just hitting it all together. So in my mind, once land does fully come out, like I know, when's land gonna save the game? But in my mind, once we do get these item cards and things like that, that's gonna like add some more RNG to the game. It should add more like human interaction when it comes to it. Because in a card game, you kind of want to do something and then your opponent respond with something else. So once we get that into the game, in my mind, the bots and battle helpers should go away. Because hopefully then the game will be a bit more complicated and then these services won't be as strong. But only time will tell what will happen once the TOS changes happen. But I can definitely feel the day one when that happens, the tavern's going to be overjoyed and everyone's going to be drunk on playing the game. Well guys, I hope the TOS changes fixes our game and people will stop having to adjust the way they play the game due to bots, battle helpers and whatever could come next. But let's see what happens once the TOS changes happen, because I'm expecting a big happy day, just like when the bots were banned from modern. But that's it from us for today. So if you haven't already, like the video if you don't like bots and battle helpers, and comment below what you think is going to happen once the TOS changes happen. And don't forget to sub, as remember what I said, all our non-subscribers will definitely lose all their games against the battle helpers until the TOS changes happens. Maybe. And remember, be a shark in this world, not a whale. And we're going to see you guys next time.